Welcome back to the channel. My name's Tyler. This is Tyler Reads Books, and in today's video, we're going to be reviewing Fury of the Gods by John Gwynne. This is the third book in the Bloodsworn Saga. I recently finished it up about a month ago and have been sitting with my thoughts on the book. This is a series that I dove into this year, and first time I read John Gwynne, absolutely loved Shadow of the Gods and Hunger of the Gods, and so I was excited to read this one and see where we were going to go with the rest of the story. And I enjoyed this book. I would say it is my least favorite in the series, but it's still really good. It has some really great moments along the way. Obviously, the action, it's John Gwynne. Nobody writes better hand-to-hand combat, better fight scenes than John Gwynne does, in my opinion, and so that part is amazing. The characters in the story that we are following, John just continues to build on those elements and draw out like the human side of these characters, and so those parts were really great. There were some really cool moments between our different main characters and the groups that they're in and how they're interacting in the larger world. But there were also some things that just felt kind of too simple or too easy, or just like almost like John didn't like that idea he set up, and so he just decided, we're just gonna wrap that up real quick. We're just gonna end that. And so I would say, without going into spoilers at the start, this book's 4 out of 5 stars. I think it sums up the series really well. I think it finishes it off, leaves our characters in really cool places. But it definitely was not what Hunger of the Gods was for me. The second book, that is my favorite book I've read this year. I think there were so many great things that John did in there in the storytelling that this one ended up feeling a little short in those. And so jumping into spoilers, we left off in Hunger of the Gods with Elvar and Varg and Orca, and all of them were in very different places throughout the story. And we left with Orca being captured or maybe dead by the frost spiders while she had launched her son into the river. And the next book really just picks up immediately right there. And surprised pretty early into the story that we have a POV from Orca. So she did not die at the end of Hunger of the Gods, and she is alive and is very much a major player in Fury of the Gods. So we follow her story. We follow Elvar, Varg, Gudvar, and what is the other guy's name? It starts with a B. Obviously, this tells you what I think of his chapters because, Bior. Yeah, follow Bior. And follow all of these different POVs throughout the story. And there were some really cool things going on. Obviously, I don't love Gudvar's character. And so every time it got to his chapter, I was like, this guy's a little weasel. This guy's a little snake. Like, I can't wait for him to die. And that definitely comes at the end of this. Same with Bior. John doesn't really give him a redemption, which I think is kind of great. Like, he realizes some of the things that he did, the decisions he made were wrong. And so it was really interesting to see him maybe try to do it right, try to live like on the fence between the two armies, but then end up dying. I had to go back and read it again because I'm like, did he die? And he for sure dies. But then the pieces that were the coolest to me, that I thought were the most powerful in this story, were when Elvar frees all of the Tainted and frees Ulfir and has them swear allegiance to her, and so they're no longer thralled. They no longer have the collars on them. And that was such a powerful moment because the Bloodsworn walk up and everybody's like, why are the Bloodsworn coming up here? And this is when they reveal to everyone in Elvar's army that they are tainted and they've always been tainted. And so I think that is probably one of the best moments in this book, when it just comes to like a cool character growth piece of like, the Bloodsworn have always kept this a secret, that they're tainted. They don't want anybody to know because they don't want to be thralled. And so then for them to tell everyone like, oh yeah, we're tainted. It was just a really powerful scene. I think probably one of the most powerful in the series of the Bloodsworn and Elvar's army realizing this. And then the most shocking moment easily was Elvar's death. I did not think she was going to die. Orca at the end of Hunger of the Gods, I'm glad she didn't die, but I was okay with that because I felt like, okay, this is like a culmination of her story. She freed her son, she's good, like, but then like Elvar, it was like there was no coming back from her death. Like being stabbed and then thrown off of like hundreds of feet and then hitting the ground and right in front of the Bloodsworn and them realizing what has happened and who it is. Like that blew my mind. I had no idea that she would not survive this. I for sure thought she was going to survive. She was going to be head of the realm in some way or another, establish this new kingdom, this new world and era, and usher it in. And she does, but also at the expense of her own life. And so I was super shocked by that piece of the story, and was just like amazed that John went there and was willing to kill off one of the main characters in that way. The one thing that for me just didn't really work was there were multiple times in the story where it felt like there were a bunch of intricate things set up and then it just got solved instantly. So an example of that is when they come out of Ulfir's lair and all of these ships are coming to attack from the other land, and it's said that they have bigger gods than the ones that they have in Iskandar, all these things like, and so it's like, oh man, we're gonna have this big battle. Well, then that's when Snaka comes back to life, and his body just wipes out all the ships. So like I thought that was going to be this really big story piece of like, hey, we're fighting in our own land, but now we have this whole other group of people coming in and they have this massive army, the largest army that's ever been seen. They're coming to fight us. This is going to happen. And literally like Snaka just happens to wake up at the perfect moment and his body just wipes out all the ships. Like a little too convenient, a little too easy. And multiple of the deaths of like Rada and of just some of the other characters just felt like too easy, too convenient, like poisoning each other, like doing these little things. I wish there would have been more of epic battles. It just felt like every time one of them was close to dying, they would just transform back into their creature of like the wolf or the rat or the dragon or however, and that would kind of like save them, and they'd go back to human form and they'd have scars and bleeding, but they're fine. So like some of those storytelling elements I wished could have been a little more drawn out. And I haven't looked at the actual page count, but to me this felt shortest of all three of the books. And I think that's another area where it lacks a little bit compared to Shadow of the Gods and Hunger of the Gods, is there's a little more time to breathe, a little more time to develop characters and story. And this almost in parts felt like John was just kind of crash landing the plane. Now, thankfully, I loved where we were going on that crash landing. And so I'm here for it. I'm good for it. I still think the Bloodsworn Saga is amazing. Some of my favorite characters. I want to be a part of the Bloodsworn. Like, I loved this trilogy a lot. I think I will go back to it again. It's also made me look forward to reading other John Gwynne books. And so I think it's really great, but I do wish that this one would have been as epic as Hunger of the Gods was to me. Have you read the Bloodsworn Saga? Let me know in the comments below if you have, what your thoughts are on Hunger, Shadow, and Fury of the Gods. And let's look forward to going on more book adventures and reading more books together.